Hey guys, Courtney here. This morning, as I was just kind of sitting or standing rather and chopping up some veggies, this thought came to my mind, and I have taught on this before, but I want to share it with you, especially if you're in a season right now where you're frustrated, you're finding yourself frustrated. I want to encourage you to discern the season that you're in. Discern the season that you are in. I tell my Bible study group all the time that there are different seasons in life, just like we have different seasons in the earth. And whether or not you live in a climate where we really don't have seasons, we can't deny the fact that God created times and He created seasons. So we have summer, spring, winter, fall, 4 different seasons. And throughout the year, they're changing about every 3 to 4 months. We can look at that in our own life and think, how many times have we gotten frustrated because we're not producing the fruit we wanted to in a certain season, but we failed to actually discern the season we were in? How frustrating would it be if I'm in a season of winter? That's a season of solitude, of isolation, of preparation. God is doing some work in me. He has separated me and set me apart from people. He's beginning to work on the inside of me, cut some things away, cut some ideas away, cut some bad habits away. And I'm in this winter season where I'm also storing up all of this knowledge and wisdom from the Lord, because I don't have the same friendships I used to, and I don't have the same people to lean on, and I'm not complaining like I used to. And this is odd. So now what do I do with my voice? What do I do with myself? I'm in a winter season. Imagine how frustrating that would be if I kept looking for blossoms in the middle of winter. If every day I woke up and I was waiting for this beautiful fruit to bear, and I'm thinking, where are my flowers? Why am I not being seen? Why do I feel like I didn't discern the season? So it's important that we discern the season that we are in. Always going to Abba, always going to our Father and saying, Daddy, what season is this? Imagine being in a season of spring where you're supposed to be blooming and blossoming and growing, but you thought you was in a season of fall where some things were falling off and shedding off, and some colors were changing and some perspectives were being changed in the season of fall. But God actually told you that God actually meant for you to be in a spring season, but you didn't ask Him. And therefore, you're sitting here letting business ideas pass you by. Oh, I'll start on that. I don't really want to start on it right now. I'll start on it later, because if I do it now and it fails like it did last time. No, baby, last time you were in the world. And it might have failed last time because you were in the world and God wanted to consecrate you and set you apart. Or the world might have rejected you. But when you're in Christ and you are this new creation, your seasons are a lot different. Every season has hope. Every season has joy. Every season should have peace. Even though we are in these different seasons, we should still have peace. So I want to invite you today to just pray to the Lord. Journal in your journals. If you have a journal, journal it. If you don't, go buy a journal. It's so vital. You know, we have the Bible. It's written word. It's literally God speaking to someone and them writing it down. That is the Bible. So for those of you that might think, journaling's not for me, or that's going to take too much time, I'd rather just get some other things done and multitask while I pray, and get yourself a journal. Because we literally have the word to go back to, all because somebody sat down and wrote. They wrote what thus saith the Lord. Know your identity in Him. Stop thinking that, what God says to you isn't valid. It is valid, because He is saying it to you. He's stopping and He's saying it to you. So ask the Lord, what season am I in? And write it down and begin to steward well during that season. begin to recognize and look at what God has given us, which is this earth. Look at what he created. And if you say, hey, God said I'm in a season of winter. What happens in winter? Literally look at it. And you might think, oh, only dead things in winter. Those things aren't dead. Trees are not dead in the winter. They're merely storing up for the spring. There would be no spring without a winter because you cannot pour all the time. You can't pour. You can't. So you have to be able to step back and say, this is a season of winter. And then you begin to rejoice. This is a season of winter. It's a season of rest, of hibernation. I can rest in the Lord. I just came out of that winter season myself. And I woke up every day at like 8:30, 9 a.m. I simply got to rest. And Satan for a while tried to trick me and say, you're not up at 5 a.m. praying. A year ago you was praying in tongues for an hour a day. Look at you. But if I didn't know who I was, I would start doing things out of my own strength and might, trying to get up at 5 a.m. and do things when God called me to a winter season, to store up, to rest in him, to prepare, to be ready, to blossom, to get ready. How disappointing would it be if we thought spring was coming and it never came? Because those trees were trying to work out of their own might and produce fruit in the middle of winter instead of simply resting. You're not dead, you're resting, sister. You're resting in the Lord. Things in your life are not falling apart. You're creating a reservoir right now. If you're in the fall, things in your life are not simply falling away. Think about how beautiful it is in the fall. How beautiful the leaves change colors. The temperature drops. Things are cooler. They're a little calmer. That's how it is when God starts taking away friends, taking away relationships. He starts to say, hey, you don't need that addiction. Hey, you don't need that. It's making you handicapped. To be handicapped is not a good thing. To be handicapped and reliant on people. I know people who will get benefits from the government, and because of that, they will deter their life on a completely different course. I know people who get benefits from the government and who are doing really good things, who were seriously disabled and injured, but they're not saying, I'm just gonna, I can't do anything since I'm disabled. They're not allowing that to identify them. I know people on both ends of the spectrum. I know people who are disabled who get help from the government, and they say, well, I can't move out of these apartments. I can't move out of these bad apartments, and I can't get a better car because if I do, the government might find out, and then they'll take away my benefits. You're labeling yourself as handicapped. To be handicapped is not a good thing. Whenever the children of Israel, the Israelites, they left Egypt, it said that none were feeble among them. Their clothes never wore out. That's how we should be under the provision of God. We should not be feeble. We should not be handicapped. Don't allow your season to make you think that you are a handicapped person, that you need help. Look at your season in life. And I want you to begin to look at it and then look at the earth and say, if God created winter in this way, what happens in winter? What happens in fall? Beauty is in fall. What happens in spring? Things spring forth, new things. If God called you to a season of spring and a deal comes or a opportunity comes and you're like, no, I don't really deserve that. I don't really think that that's for me right now. I don't know how I can afford that. You guys, I'm telling you, I'm 26 years old. I have my own house provided by the Lord completely. And it was a faith move. I didn't have all the money to pay 3 months of rent before I moved to this house. But I knew my daddy told me it's time to move, baby. You don't have to stay here any longer. And because of discernment, and because of wisdom, and because of knowledge of the Lord and asking him, I made that move. Then literally 2.5, 3 months later, I bought an RV. I'm sure some people would look and be like, what is going on? She just got a house. I mean, you should probably wait a little bit and get you some money saved up. Then you can get your RV. Literally, I could not receive the abundance. I could not receive the outpouring and the overflow until I made room for it. And this is not one of those giddy messages that tells you, go and move to LA. You got to make room for your blessing. I'm not trying to say that. But what I am saying is, as long as I stayed in my 2-bedroom apartment on government assistance, thinking, I can't get out of these apartments until I have enough money saved up to get out of these apartments. And then I have at least a year's worth of rent because I don't want to ever come back to these apartments because I don't want to ever. That was me going in fear. Now, am I saying not to use wisdom, not to save? Absolutely not. I love saving. I'm really good at saving money. And I'm really good at asking my Father for wisdom. I didn't have to have 12 months of rent. I was operating in fear because I was scared that if I leave these apartments right now and I only pay 2 months worth of rent and then I end up back here, then what? Versus saying, okay, Daddy, if you're saying move, if I have the green light from you, I'm going to go. He told me, see, I'm doing a new thing. How is God doing a new thing and you're trying to stay in the old thing? I literally, once I moved, my income changed to support my moving. I don't know how, except for my Father did it. I literally haven't been doing anything different, which I will add to that make sure in your season of winter and every season you're stewarding well over that season as it pertains to that season. If it's winter, I'm storing up. If it's fall, I'm stewarding over not letting people in my life and setting boundaries. If it's spring, I'm stewarding over my finances so that way I can spring forth and do things. That way, if God says, hey, I want you to travel, I'm not like, oh, I spent my money on movie theater tickets and I spent it on X, Y, and Z. Like if it's a summer season where God's telling you to just kind of to shine, let your light shine, where you are to be a warmth and a fire to other people. And you're like, I don't want to make the YouTube. I don't like the way my voice sounds. My hair is not acting right now. And God's like, girl, this is a summer season. I want you to enjoy this vacation. I want you to actually go out and vacation, maybe physically. I want you to let your light shine for me. I want you to, summer also, people take breaks in the summer. They travel. I want you to travel. And you're like, I don't really know if. Don't operate in fear. Operate in faith. I'm going to go ahead and close out this message because I can talk for hours. But I have another message I want to release after this. And I want to save up my voice and get back to chopping up my veggies. But I was chopping up my veggies and just thinking about how good God is because I woke up at 5 a.m. this morning. And God has now told me I'm transitioning to this season of spring now. I just left this resting period over the past few months. And it took me a little curve to get used to resting. But I felt so like joyous this morning as I'm chopping up the veggies. I'm just like, I'm doing it. Like months ago, I was like, oh my goodness, it's 9 a.m. and making something quick for breakfast, telling the kids to eat cereal. And I feel like a horrible person because I feel like I should be cooking more and I should be doing this, I should be doing that. And God said, rest. He said, rest, baby, because when spring comes, you won't be able to rest except for resting in the Lord. He said, rest. And at first I was fighting it. And then I said, Courtney, the season changed. Go back to your daddy and ask him, what's the purpose of this rest? Ask him, what's the strategy for the next season so I can be preparing now? I can be making plans now for what you're going to do next as I'm resting. I got up at 5 a.m., did prayer with the church. We pray from 5:30 to 6 a.m., got work done. I'm a photographer. I edited photos, found some documents so I can go apply for a passport. Now I'm cutting up veggies. My 1-year-old's awake and she's singing in the background. I don't feel tired. In my season of rest, when I tried to get up early and I tried to do all the things I'm doing now, I'd be so frustrated. I would just walk away and be like, you know what, y'all? Noodles. Y'all just whatever y'all want to eat. Like, I'm mad. I'm mad y'all didn't sleep longer. I'm mad that I woke up at 9:30 and y'all up at 10 and I only got 30 minutes to myself. I got like 4 hours to myself this morning. And I'm like, this is great. But the season. My kids were being a pinpoint for my frustration because I didn't discern my season. Think of how many other things in your life are being pinpointed for frustration because you have not discerned the season. Your money, your finances are being frustrated because you did not discern the season. Discern the season. Pray to the Lord. Yield to the Lord. Surrender, which means to roll away. When you roll when you roll a ball out of your hands, you can't reach it and grab it and take it back. It's rolled. You rolled it out. You surrender and you yield to the Lord. You follow his instructions. I'm going to let you all go. It was amazing chatting with you. I pray that your mind is sound today, that you're not double-minded and wavering, and that your ears are open to hear from the Lord. Be blessed. See you soon.